Achaman. So you have, everyone has a spoon and the cup with the water in it. Just take the spoon in the right hand, put it on the left hand, purify that. Take the spoon in the left hand, purify the right hand. And then the left hand, take a drop of water. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gatopiva Jasmade Pundalikaksham Savabhyabhyantara Suchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. Then take one drop of water with left hand, put it in the right hand by saying Om Keshavaya Namaha. Sip from the base of your palm. Please sip the water from the base of your palm. Then another again. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yasmare Pundalikaksham Savabhyabhyantara Suchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yasmare Pundalikaksham Savabhyabhyantara Suchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha.
Don't talk. Ready? Okay, can I get the mic? We have a technology crisis here. We're now going to chant together Brahma Samhita, except the Brahma Samhita sheets are missing. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, through technology, you can open up your phone and Bamsi Dowry is going to give you a very quick tutorial how to find Brahma Samhita on your phone. ISKCON Desire Tree to get a head start.
Hare Krishna. You can search in Google, go to your Google and search for Brahma Samhita ISKCON Desire Tree. In Google search for Brahma Samhita ISKCON Desire Tree. Then you just click on the first link that comes up.
Say it again. those of you that didn't follow, here it goes again.
Yeah. So launch your Google on your phone, Google search, and search for Brahma Samhita, BRAHMASAMHIDA, Brahma Samhita, ISKCON Desire Tree. And you get the list and just click on the first link. That takes you to the prayers of Brahma Samhita.
You know that? You know that?
Anyone needs help?
And if you have somebody that's wiser than you technology-wise and has a copy on their phone, you can look on their phone. More than one pair of eyes per phone. So we're going to begin. If you haven't found it yet, as soon as you find it, you can join us. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anahari Hare Govinda Sarvakaranakaranam Chintamani Prabhasanna Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshavitesu Suradhiradiparayantam Lakshmi Sahasraya Sambrahmasneyamanam Govindamani Purusham Brahmam Dayami Venu Vanam Adhyadhanaya Dasham Varhadram Samasitam Vadasundarangam Gandharvarori Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham large assembly this evening from places all over the country. For those of you that are not regular participants in our gatherings here, this weekend, this last 4 days, there have been 40, you could say, youth, teenagers, and early 20s from all over the place come together to share their Krishna conscious experiences, growing up in Krishna consciousness and exploring why it's important. Is it important? What are the obstacles? And living a lifestyle of devotion to Krishna. Important decision-making period of time for persons growing up today. And we also had a gathering where we were discussing the stages of bhakti with the adults. And I think I'll speak this evening a little bit on that topic because it's appropriate. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is a term that was established by our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada brought this message from India to the English-speaking parts of the world, and then all over the world, coming in a line of disciplic succession. His spiritual master had the same idea, he just gave it a different name. Vaishnava Vishva Raja Sabha, a little different than international, it's just different language, but it's the same meaning. Vaishnava Vishva is this world, universe. Raja Sabha, the best of association. And it's existing all over the world. His explanation was like a river. Generally, a river flows on the surface of the land. Sometimes the water of a river flows below the surface of the land, but it's there. And so always there's association of devotees, and it's brought out through the association of devotees. So he envisioned, as did the predecessor of spiritual masters before him, envisioned, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu envisioned, a world that has some portion of the population dedicated in service to Krishna. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, Adushanam sahasreshu kaschititati siddhaye itatamapi siddhanam kaschinma veti tattataha. Out of many persons, there may be some persons pursuing knowing who they are and becoming siddhas in self-knowledge, self-realization. And amongst those who understand Brahmasmi, there may be some who then dedicate themselves to devotion to Krishna and understand Krishna in truth. Veti mam tattvata. They know Krishna in truth. Very, very special. So the vision of our disciplic succession is to create an association of such persons. And what we heard in the last several days was a further explanation of one verse of Romapada Swami, who was a follower, the next in line in disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya, about the stages of bhakti. And we heard this nice description of how bhakti begins. And very simple. Bhakti begins from associating with one who's carrying bhakti. Bhakti gives rise to bhakti. Although it's something that's within, innately, bhakti is something already there, that's within, but it comes out through contact with those that are carrying bhakti. Mataji, can the child go some other place? Thank you very much. Mataji, can the child go somewhere else? Those who are mothers are used to it, and those that are sannyasis are not used to it. And in public assembly, it's a little distracting.
Can we request other gentlemen to please come out? Yes, please in here, there's a lot of space and if more people have to come, please allow the gentlemen to take us here. Please come. There's so much space there.
That's okay. They're settled, but they're settled. Differences of culture, I guess. While we're waiting, a while ago I was in Portland, Oregon, and there was, in the audience was an American Mataji, Prabhupada disciple, that shared something with me, because we had a little episode where a mother was just happy bouncing her child, but the child was babbling away and babbling away and babbling away and babbling away in the middle of the class. And everyone else was looking at the scene, and she was just happily bouncing the little child. So she said, so I'm sharing this with you, during Prabhupada's time, the culture was very clear. Not a good idea to bring children into a classroom because they're going to be children. They're going to do what children do. They're going to be playful and giggle and laugh and cry and do the things that children do. So if someone had a small child, they would be by the door, and if the child started to make noise, without any cue, they would just leave. So she said, modern times that culture is not there in our modern audience. So what she does is she just stops speaking. Until we're not having to say anything because they understand that's her, that's the standard. The child can leave the room, and when the child leaves the room, then she continues. Different culture. So, pardon me. Please excuse me for being a sannyasi. And in the future, if you see me coming to the Sunday program, inform the guests that Swami's going to do the Swami thing, so you better. Please excuse me. Okay, so, Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami was the next in line of disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya. He was specifically empowered by Lord Chaitanya to receive the fullness of understanding of the science of bhakti and to write books expanding the science of bhakti. I say science twice because it's a science. It's from the heart, and there's a science of how bhakti unfolds. Bhakti starts with contacting bhakti, although it's already within. Just like here, we're going to, short while, light a fire. And there's some wood at the top of the fire. So, similarly to the following, in that wood there's fire. It's not coming out, but how do you get it to come out? You put fire in touch with the wood, and the fire that's in the wood comes out. That's Sankhya philosophy. And there is fire inside because the fire of the sun through photosynthesis or whatever the process, it's stored in the tree. And there's fire in the wood. But it's not hot, but it's there, and it comes out through contact with fire. Similarly, not only bhakti, but in the perfect stage, prema bhakti, nitya siddha, Krishna prema, sadhyakamamoy. This is Lord Chaitanya's teaching. Shravanadi, beginning with Shravana, beginning with hearing, from one who is carrying bhakti, because we're always hearing something. And if one hears that sound vibration of bhakti from one who is carrying bhakti, then it awakens the bhakti that's within. It's like the fire that's in the wood comes out. And that's how bhakti begins. Bhakti ignites bhakti. And then the stages of bhakti grow, or they can grow, from some initial stage to a maturing stage, maturing and further maturing stages. So this event this evening is one of those stages. It's a stage of expansion or unfolding of the seed of bhakti, bhakti lata, bija. Another nice verse spoken by Lord Chaitanya. Brahmanda, Brahmite, Konda Bhagyavan, Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata, bija. The seed of bhakti is received by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The seed of, in one sense, bhakti is already there, but the awakening of that seed of bhakti comes by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And Guru, the Guru function is to carry Krishna's message. Very, Prabhupada likens it to a postal peon. Purposely he chose the word peon, knowing in English language peon isn't a flattering word. Peon means like an insignificant personality, peon. So a postal peon is one who has a letter that's given to the post office, and from somebody to another somebody, the postal peon carries it from the somebody to the somebody it's intended for. So there's Krishna's message, there's the messenger of Krishna, the postal peon, and there's the recipient of the message. You're part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna has a message for you. Here it is. Just open up the envelope. It's Krishna's message, stylized and personally customized for you. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. Wake up. You're asleep. You've been there. The original consciousness is dormant because of the sleeping condition, covered by avidya, covered by forgetfulness of who you really are. And here's this knowledge of who you really are. Jeev Jago. Gora Chandra, Lord Chaitanya is calling, and through his messengers, he's calling. And so the bhakti that's within becomes awakened in a very natural way through sound. And those that are carrying that sound are representatives of Krishna, to be respected like Krishna because they're representing him. And this stage, according to the teaching of Rupa Goswami, it falls in the third stage. So first stage is some preliminary faith, the Dao Shraddha. And then Sadhu Sangha. And Sadhu Sangha means, in simple terms, those who are representatives of Krishna, they have taken shelter of Krishna's message and Krishna's lotus feet, and they're carrying Krishna's message, and they pass it on to the Adau Shraddha person. And then there's an awakening of the dormant bhakti that's within. Then the third stage is doing with those sadhus what sadhus do. That's bhajana kriya. Bhajana kriya. Activities of dedication of self to specifically the hearing and chanting process, because there are 9 processes of bhakti. Again, a Rupa Goswami verse. Oh, exactly, it's from Srimad Bhagavatam. The first 2 are Shravanam Kirtanam. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting about the personality of Godhead, the source of everything. He who is our eternal shelter, and hearing and discussing topics about that supreme source of everything. That's Bhajana Kriya. And in the course of that Bhajana Kriya, there's instructions from sadhus how to do that nicely. You know, the vidhis, the do's and the don'ts, the vidhis and nishedas. Another verse that Rupa Goswami quotes. Smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavyo najatu chit. Sarva vidhi nishedasyor etayor eva kinkara. All vidhis, all the do's and the don'ts, they're kinkaras, they're servants of one thing. It's all for one purpose. What's that one purpose? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, because we forgot Krishna. And we, in Jeev Japa, wake up to remembrance of Krishna. So, the association Sadhu Sangha is to help us awaken our remembrance of Krishna and to don't go the other direction in forgetfulness of Krishna again. Just keep going to remembrance of Krishna. And this Diksha is in that third stage. Consistently, Prabhupada would describe it that way. In his translation of the verse by Rupa Goswami, he includes it. Taking shelter of spiritual master, receiving initiation. So the significance of this initiation is very simple. It's a making formal that which is already there. Like, you know, you enroll in a university, you make an application to a university, and some acceptance may come. And after acceptance, you enroll in the courses, you take the courses, take the exam, and when your course of study is complete, they give you a certificate or a diploma. You've completed your study, and then you have this big graduation thing. So this is the graduation thing. That is, the submission unto Krishna is now being formally accepted by Krishna. The submission is unto Krishna. And there's representatives of Krishna that say, Krishna accepts your submission. And here's your certificate, here's your diploma. But it's not a diploma, it's a set of vows taken before Krishna, before the sadhus and the Vaishnavas, and where my commitment unto Krishna is certain vows. And in reciprocation, Krishna accepts that submission. And one is then given a spiritual name, where just like mother and father have a child and they give a name. That name has to do with the body that was produced by the mother, the seed given by the father. And then there's a name, male, female name for the child, along with the family name. Then this second initiation, or Harinam initiation, one receives a name, and one is then part of Achyuta Gotra. Most of the persons here from India, so I don't have to explain Gotra. Achyuta Gotra, one becomes part of Krishna's family. That's what's happening. So Krishna is accepting. This is the university that gives the diploma. Now, there were professors and there's other administrators and the whole big, all the activities of the university. And there may have been some outstanding professor in the course of those studies. But in this case, there's a person who is representing the civic succession, that's representing Krishna, is formally accepting the submission unto Krishna. Krishna is the deliverer of the acceptance through the medium of the representative. In spiritual life, it's important to see who's behind everything. In material consciousness, we don't see who's behind everything because we forgot Krishna. We're thinking we're the doer, and we're going to go do things. Karta aham iti manyate. The spiritual consciousness. And spiritual consciousness is nimitta. I am the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let me do that which the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants. Let me be His instrument. We still have a role to play, but we're not the doer. We're the instrument of Krishna. And that's an essential part of Krishna consciousness. So, persons that are here from different places, by design and also just by circumstance, because some of the young people here are from all different parts of the country to take part in this youth sangha, summer youth retreat, as it's been called. And they're here to extend their best wishes and blessings upon the initiates, because taking vows are very important. Vows are to be considered seriously, and once taken, they're to be carried out for the rest of one's life. That's a serious thing. But it's not alone. There's a big support system, and there's Krishna's mercy. And as one goes further on the path of bhakti, the eagerness for Krishna's mercy. I'll just say this one last thing, and then in Madhurya Kandamini, we heard to go through this Bhajana Kriya stage, which includes initiation, and to go out on the other side, that is, the unwanted things that are within, starting with forgetfulness of Krishna, but all the other things that are appendages of forgetfulness of Krishna, unwanted things, anartha in Sanskrit, artha and anartha. So anarthas can be cleansed by that bhajana kriya, devotional activity. And the effectiveness of moving through that cleansing of the heart, Madhurya Kandamini says, has to do, everything to do with the intensity of intention behind the hearing and chanting activities, the bhajana kriya activities. So I'll say it again slowly. To go further from this stage to the more mature stage, the nishta, steady stage, the intensity of the intention behind the activities, or within the activities of Shravanam Kirtanam, of hearing and chanting, and the other devotional activities. The intention of pleasing Krishna. The intention of making that Krishna connection vital again is the operative factor. So our initiates should be very careful to guard against further offense. We discussed these during the seminar, so you can refer again in the text of Madhuri Kundalini in so many places. The references are there. But the most important part of all of that is, one more time, the intensity of the strength of intention, because that's who we are. The intention, innate intention to please Krishna. That's us. And as more we act according to who we really are, effectively and sustained over some time, then the heart becomes cleansed. And the higher stages of bhakti can be accessed. It's just waiting to unfold. So something that I've been doing in the last, I'll do a little sharing. I was visiting in Houston, Texas, and Gundagrahi Maharaj was there at the same time that I was, and I observed something that was really nice. There were some young people in the community who were going to receive initiation. So he had some person speak something about those young people who were going to be initiated. And it was really nice, and I've been doing that ever since. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time, because some of you know these devotees, and some of you don't know some of these devotees. So I think I'll ask Pegananda, if you have the microphone, to say a few things about the three that you had mentioned. Yeah. She's got to know. She knows these people like
Hare Krishna. This is Michael Jeske. Probably none of you know him because he lives in Wisconsin. In his early 20s, before he met any devotees, Michael and his friend Ramal, they had purchased some of Srila Prabhupada's books and read them. And after that, they met His Grace, or His Holiness, Satsvarupa Das Maharaj, and his team of devotees who were traveling through Wisconsin. So that was in 1973, and Michael was about 22 years old, around there. So he and his friend, they helped to hand out the literature. They invited the devotees to their apartment. The devotees cooked and fed them prasadam. They had kirtan, and that's how they came into Krishna consciousness. But the most interesting thing is that from the very early days, they came to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any kind of a doubt, both of them. They used to periodically visit ISKCON Chicago at the time before they moved to Lund. That was in Evanston. So I met Michael and his wife, who is sitting there, Karen, in one of the Rath Yatra festivals. And I came to realize that I knew Michael's friend, Ramal's wife, who was, her name was Barbara. She and myself was part of the team of Gopasundari. We used to make Kishori's dresses those days. So she used to serve at that time in Chicago temple. So since then I have been in touch with Michael, and to get to know more about his spiritual practices and his spiritual journey. Michael and his wife Karen. They live in a very, very quiet part of Wisconsin, and there are no devotees living there. And yet, he has a strict sadhana, very systematic practice. I'm not sure if he would like me to tell any of these things, but because it is inspirational and I'm sharing. So he wakes up every day morning at 3 o'clock. He has a long list of prayers he chants regularly. Then he continues with his japa. And he carries on his daily work, always thinking of Krishna no matter what he does. And he has absolutely no devotee association there. That's who Michael is. So from early days, Michael was very much attracted to Lord Nityananda. And he requested me to have a small piece of fabric touch Lord Nityananda's padukas when they came here to ISKCON Chicago. And when I gave him that, he was in tears, literally. He worships that piece of fabric every day. And then when I went to Mayapur, I collected dust from various areas where Lord Nityananda had his pastime. And when he received that, I have never seen anyone whose heart was so touched that I cannot even begin to explain to you the intensity of his emotion. So later, so he has been attending my classes on the phone for the past few years, and so I'm supposed to be his guide. But hearing his appreciation for Srimad Bhagavatam, his meticulous spiritual practices, his conscientious behavior, his humility and simplicity of heart, I feel that it is my greatest privilege to have met him in this lifetime. I don't consider myself as his guide at all. I'm very fortunate to have known him, and he's always thinking of Krishna no matter what he does. And to have such a devotee in my life, I feel greatly blessed. I'm so happy to be here, Michael, today, that to see you take Harinama Diksha from Maharaj and to get connected with the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. I'm extremely happy. And also, Michael is so appreciative of Guru Maharaj. He met him initially in one of the Ratha Yatra festivals, and there was a little pastime that took place. Not going, he kind of accidentally burned Maharaj's clothes. And Maharaj has given him so much special mercy that he reminds me about that, how he feels so bad that it happened like that, and he's so apologetic about it. He replaced Maharaj's clothes and all that. But that's who Michael is. And before I conclude, I want to thank Karen, Michael's wife, who is so supportive of his spiritual practices, because as we all know, if our partners in life don't support, it's very tough to practice Krishna consciousness. And she is so wonderful, sweet.
You've gone way over your time. Give me the microphone. I'll call on you later. That's why she has the name Premananda. She can help herself. Trying to think who's been nice short. Would you like to speak something about Swati?
Really happy for taking this step today. I still remember the first time I met Swati. It was back in 2014, right? Right here downstairs during Prasadam time after the Sunday feast. And it was a very casual conversation. I probably felt there was a connection. And I just mentioned to her, would you like to join a systematic, program of study. And, she said, yeah, I would be interested. But then I thought, she would never call back after that. She took my number and, I'll think about it. I think I would be interested. And I was surprised. 1 week later, she called me and she said, I would like to come to your program. And she came and she participated in the Journey of Self-Discovery series. And by the end of it, she was like ready to do sadhana. She was like, okay, tell me, what do I need to do? I know who I am. I know who's God now. What do I need to do? What is the daily practice? So since then, she's been such an inspiration for me personally in terms of how quickly she took up to the process of sadhana in a very regulated way, waking up early morning and so on. And another little thing I'll share is, I remember sitting outside one day and she was crying to me saying, this was after like maybe 6 months or something like that. She was crying to me and saying, I don't think I can continue in this process because I can't cook. My mom stays with me and my mom cooks every day and I don't think I can offer food. I can't cook. I don't know how I'm going to make progress. I said, don't worry, one step at a time. And a little time passed and all the circumstances changed. Somehow Mom stopped coming as much and she didn't have a choice. And she had to cook. And now she cooks for programs and she cooks for Guru Maharaj and so on. So anyway, she's just been such an inspiration for me in terms of her determination and strong sadhana, and she's gone through many challenges, but her faith and determination have not wavered, and I'm very glad that she's taken this step today. Shatrapa's mother. Yes, I have known Shatrapa's mother pretty much as long as I've known Shatrapa, but I can't say that I knew her very closely because she was always a very quiet person. She would come to our place, she would participate in the classes and stuff, and I would try very hard to connect to her, but she would speak very little. But then each time when she would come back from India, like she would come with this, just like this face, countenance of so much gratitude, like she's receiving so much, and she's been chanting 16 rounds for many, many years. I think the most I connected with her was during last year in Vrindavan, and both of them stayed with me for 3 weeks actually. And every day she would go to the temple, spend like 2-3 hours. She was very fond of attending Rajbhog Aarti. And it would take her like literally 20-25 minutes to walk from MBT to the temple, or even more sometimes. But she would like make it one step at a time. And each day when she would come back home, she had like such joy and bliss. And every day she would come back with some maha item from the devis. Somehow the pujari would give her some maha item, and then she would come and give it to me. It was just amazing to watch her each day. And then, of course, because it was Kartik time, and then she would make that walk again in the evening and go light the ghee lamp in that crowded place where you kind of get automatically pushed in and pushed out from the temple room. But by the end of the whole Vrindavan trip, she was completely sold out, like just totally sold out. And then after that, we spoke about initiation, and when she took ISKCON Disciple course in Mayapur, amazing, and she passed it and did well, and here she is, taking this step and just feeling very, very grateful.
Premananda chants. You're going to speak about these? Yes.
This is going to be brief. Otherwise, Maharaj will tell me to walk out of here. So we have Surekha sitting here, and everybody knows Surekha, so I need not introduce her. Surekha came across with the devotees in 2007 in Detroit. And then she moved to Naperville in 2009, and I met her in 2011. It's about 9 years now. I noticed from the very, very beginning that she was so eager to make progress in her spiritual life, very eager to attend Srimad Bhagavatam classes, and always eager to improve her spiritual practices. She met with a lot of personal challenges in the middle of all these things. She has got 2 wonderful young girls. I think they are somewhere here. And in the middle of all those challenges, she's trying to bring them up as great Vaishnavis. And a lot of credit goes to her patience and tolerance and persistence. In spite of all the challenges, she decided to stay being a devotee and make systematic progress in her spiritual life. She does reception service here, and also she does cooking in the kitchen. She assists Dhananjaya Pandit Prabhu whenever he needs help. And so she's a wonderful devotee, and I wish her all the best in her spiritual life. And I will speak about Riddhi. I met Riddhi in 2013. Everybody knows Riddhi here, right? That's Riddhi. And I met her one weekend, and she introduced me to her son, and she was asking about the services that we offer here at the temple. And within 1 week, some great disaster struck in her life also. Great challenging situation. I don't think any average person would have been able to meet with that. But the most wonderful thing about her was she stood very firm. She didn't cave into that situation. She worked very hard, and she had never worked in the outside world, but she rose up to the occasion. She found a job to support her family, her child. That was her priority. Simultaneously, she took up the chanting process, and she slowly and steadily, even though there were so many ups and downs, she is stabilizing herself and moving forward. She has a great interest in doing deity worship, and she went and took training at New Vrindavan also recently. And I deeply appreciate her strong determination, unwavering determination in practicing Krishna consciousness, and I wish her all the best in her spiritual life.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We have been known Malati Mataji for 4 years, and she's very sincere, and mood of service is very prominent right from the beginning. She has been very enthusiastic, and whoever were part of our Bhakti Vriksha in Westmont, she has actually inspired and brought them all to our Bhakti Vriksha, all those people. And she was actually distributing, going around Prabhupada's books, and she used to invite them for the programs. And if she's in the temple kitchen, she just serves. She doesn't even bother about her food or anything. That mode of service is really amazing. And one particular thing, the family members, Prabhuji or the daughters, they were not very supportive, but still she continued with faith in Krishna and devotees, taking the guidance. And now they're at least coming to the stage of favorable, so that's really amazing thing. And I'm very, very happy and honored to be in this position to be able to extend whatever we have been receiving, myself and Ram Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
The second initiate's in the back, and we're not going to have that same energy going on for them. This has become quite a ritual. The evening's almost over. We'll begin over here with Swati, and like this. So Swati, you come forward and offer obeisances before the deities. And while we're waiting, some time ago I had an inspiration, and her son, Rohan, is really, really good at redundant playing. That's his fan club. And so I also appreciated his redundant playing, so I arranged a gift for him, a redanga from Vrindavan. That would be given at the time of Swati's initiation. So your mother gets keys and you get a redundant. And you both get Krishna. So that's long awaited, and your good husband here supporting you all the way. So, the vows, initiation vows. How many rounds you'll chant every day? And the 4 rules that you follow.
No eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex.
And you'll carefully follow Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Yeah. Your initiated name is Govinda Mohini.
Govinda Mohini Devi Dasi Mata Ki.
This is the name of Radharani. You can come pay obeisances. Riti, pay obeisances, and who alone can attract Krishna. That's the meaning. Dasi. Radharani, Govinda Mohini. How many rounds you'll chant every day? And those 16, the rules that you'll follow. And you'll carefully follow Prabhupada's teachings for the rest of your life. Initiated name is Kalpataru Devi Dasi. In the spiritual world, there is everything, including trees. And the trees can provide everything. Prabhupada would like to say. Trees in this world that are fruit-bearing, they can produce only one kind of fruit during season. But the Kalpataru can produce unlimited kinds of fruit of any kind in any season, and not just fruit, but anything at all. That's the spiritual world. And those that are servants of those in the spiritual world. daughters are your cheerleading section. So, how many rounds you'll chant every day? And the rules that you follow? Okay. Very good. Initiated name is Bhakti Priya Devi Das.
Bhakti Priya Devi Das Mata ki jai.
The name doesn't need an explanation. Whenever she's introduced, that always that included in this next sentence is her service attitude is just amazing. Jiva Goswami says that's entrance into the spiritual world. At the beginning and at the entrance into the spiritual world. So, the four rules that you'll follow, but in different order. And how many rounds you'll chant for the rest of your life? Okay, minimum. And you'll carefully follow Prabhupada's teachings, yeah? Initiated name is Gopali Devi Das. Gopali is one of the confidential gopis. In Radharani's assembly, Gopali. She walks slowly, but she's strong. I'm sitting in the chair, we're almost the same. We both need to sit in chairs. Okay. How many rounds you'll chant every day? You know, 6. And the 4 rules that you follow.
No thinking, no gambling, no imperfection, no injustice.
And for the rest of your life, you will carefully take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Yeah? Okay. Initiated name, Devi Shakti Devi Dasa. Come forward, say obeisances before the amount of grains that they have is it purposely a small amount? So we don't scatter it all over the floor, or is that the idea? When it gets to the grain portion, you have to be really skimpy because there aren't too many. There she is with her camera, ready to take the picture. Take moment. So, your vows, how many rounds you chant every day and your beads? And the rules that you follow. And you'll continue to carefully follow Srila Prabhupada's teaching. Indeed I will. Okay. Initiated name is Madhukanta Das. The meaning of the name, there's several meanings. There's a book written by Swami called Gopal Champu. And in Gopal Champu, there's a narration of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan by two of Narada's disciples. One of whom is Madhukanta. Well, he's the speaker of Krishna's Braja pastimes in Gopal Champu. And Madhu Swami has a very good translation of Gopal Champu. In Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Madhukanta is the name of a singer amongst the cowherd boys. Different cowherd boys have different expertises, and his expertise is he sings very, very nicely. And in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, Madhukanta is Mukunda Datta. So you can learn about those personalities, their namesake. Okay, so now we're ready for the Ganga. You want a little kirtan while this is beginning?
Krishna
Hare Krishna.
You have to hold the microphone for me.
Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjanasalankaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Swaha Swaha Swaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tada Mahyam Dadati Sva Padantikam Swaha Swaha Swaha. Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Kapadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sadevam Tadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Swaha Swaha Swaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Lopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Swaha Swaha Swaha. Namo Om Vishnu.
That's our tradition. You can do or I can do.
You can do it.
Let's do this. You start with my Prana mantra and you go forward from there. You do that one, and I'll do the rest.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Romapada Swami Iti Namine Swaha Swaha Swaha.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Salakaya Militam Jena Shri Gurave Namaha. Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Anvitam Tam Sajivam Savaitam Savadutam Arjuna Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Ishakan Vikamscha Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Chacha Desatarine Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhuktale Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Jayataya Prabhavdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Ayane Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sad Vairagya Murtaye Pranambar Sambodhe Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Ananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Anchakalpatarubhyascha Sindhubhya evacha Pavanebhyo Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Surato Pangor Matir Gati Sarvasva Padam Bhojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadaha Ratnagara Srihasanasta Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Nishtadibhi Sevyamano Smarami Rasarami Amjivata Tatastitaha Harshan Venusanayar Gopir Gopinatha Shriyeshtunaha Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Gadadha Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Final mantra standing, if you would, with the banana in your hand. Take the banana, please. Change to come later. The banana now. And hold like this. And when it's swaha time, you very gently place the fire. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Brahmana Hittaya Cha Hittaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.